Low carb or plant-based diet, which diet really works faster for diabetes? The truth is, you don't have to choose. Years of science says combining both of these is the ultimate hack for blood sugar control. Or is it? Well, stay tuned. Should I do plant-based or should I do low carb? Let's answer that. But before that, let's see what are some of the benefits of the low carb diet. Quickly, faster A1C drops, right? You're going to reduce your A1C levels. Both of them do. But the key here that I'm mentioning is that the A1C drop, which is a measure of the long-term sugar control in your blood, is faster with low carb diet. Faster doesn't mean sustainable though. So let's keep an eye on that. Whether it's a keto diet or the Atkins diet or the paleo, whichever diet that you do, definitely faster drop in your A1C levels. And it also improves your insulin sensitivity quickly. And then also in the weight loss is also going to be on there for you. So that's a pro for the low carb diet. And then it also helps with the energy stability. You don't do the crashes and your sugar cravings. Those are also taken care of. So that's all good for low carb diet. But then there are some disadvantages. And the first one is that it is hard to maintain long term due to the restrictions on carbs. Some people want to do it, but they are like, I can't avoid my fufu. I can't avoid my potatoes. I can avoid my swallow. I can avoid my banku. I can avoid my gari. What else? What are some of the other starchy foods you eat? I can avoid this. I can avoid yuca. I can avoid that, my plantain. I can avoid my fufu. Whatever it is. And because of that, some people are not able to sustain it. So yes, if you can sustain it, then that's the quickest way to drop your A1C levels. But then it is hard for some people, to do that long term. So it becomes less sustainable for some people, right? The other thing is that there are some nutritional gaps with the low carb diet. People may lack fiber because you're eating only meat or only fat sources, and you don't really keep an eye on your fiber. And so you may not have fiber on board. You get constipated, maybe dehydrated. There are certain things that you may not definitely do. You may also lack some minerals and some key ingredients that you may be missing from plant-based just because you are doing the low carb. So that is another thing. And if that's the case, you may have to actually plan and be intentional to supplement on those things so that you don't lose on those. The other thing is the social challenges, dining out. When you have family around that takes you out and then you get restricted. Look at the menu and everything has something that you don't want. So that becomes a problem, right? But then if you can look beyond that, it is best for people who prefer meat or fat-rich meals. For the low carb people who say that, as for me, I can't stop eating meat and I can't stop eating my fats and my oils. Those people are the ones that the low carb diets are for. It works better for them. And obviously they drop their blood sugar. But if you're already a person who love meat, who love fat, your cheeses, your milks, and you can survive on those without going for the starches or plants, then that will be the easier one for you. Plant-based, the advantages, as I also alluded to some of them, is the high fiber, right? It's got a lot of the fiber, and that obviously slows down glucose absorption and improves insulin sensitivity also over time. So that is the key thing with the plant-based diet. The other thing is that health benefits of the plant-based diet. Because you're not doing animal sources, you are less likely going to have cholesterol problems, because you're not eating meat. So the cholesterol you have is basically from what your body makes. And so for people who have family history of high cholesterol or heart attacks, strokes and some of that, you may be potentially better off doing a plant-based diet because you don't want to add more fat onto your diet and accumulate more cholesterol, especially the bad ones. And so that is the good part of plant-based diet is heart healthy in that regard. Helps your cholesterol levels and also inflammation and avoid any other cardiovascular disease risk, right? When it comes to sustainability, is it something that can be sustained? It is actually easier compared to the low-carb diet. It's easier to maintain long term due to its variability and flexibility. The plant based, we have vegan, vegetarian, flexitarian, pescatarian, and then we also have what? Mediterranean. 5 good types of plant based diet. So at least one will fit you. Whether you can do completely no animal source, which is vegan, or some eggs, some protein, some milk and cheese, which is vegetarian, or pescatarian, which is basically half fish to plant-based diet. So you eat fish, all right, and all the other food you eat is plant-based. Or flexitarian, which is you are flexible. You are doing vegetarian, but the only times you eat meat is once a week. Every other time you eat. So several modifications around plant-based. So it makes it easier for folks to to stick to. So it's more flexible, more sustainable long term compared to the low carb diet. Now the disadvantage though is that the sugar levels do not drop quickly enough like you have in the low carb diet. You still have a lowering of your A1C levels, but it's going to take some time. You're going to have to keep at it for a longer period to be able to see those compared to the low carb diet. And then also, sometimes you can get the blood sugar spikes, especially when you eat the plant-based diet sources, which have a lot of starch. Now, last week, I was careful to say that plant-based doesn't mean you can eat your starchy foods. Because, think about it. If you are eating from a pounded potato is plant-based, right? Or pounded fufu or whatever starchy food you're eating. They are all starch. They are from plants. So technically, you're eating plant-based, but that's not a healthy plant-based. So you're going to have to make sure that you stick to the ones with low glycemic index or those that are less starchy. Is the key. Those that don't have a lot of starch. If you do those, then you're going to reap the benefits of those of the plant-based diet quickly. And that means that this disadvantage of spiking your blood sugar will not be there. That's the key there. And the only nutrient gap that I can think of for the plant-based diet is deficiencies in like B12 and potentially iron, right? But even that, you can supplement them. If you are strictly on plant-based diet, especially the vegan, you may lack B12, vitamin B12, because there's no animal source. For somebody who's a vegetarian, they may get some of these from the little sources of protein, like in the milk or cheese. They can get some B12 from them. And the iron too, they can get somewhere. If it's not enough, you can always supplement with your vitamin B12 over the counter after you talk to your pharmacist or your doctor. And then the iron deficiency, which is because you're not eating red meat. Red meat has some iron in there. You can also supplement with iron-rich plant-based foods. Some plant-based foods have iron in them, but you got to be intentional, especially if you're going to do this over the long period. You got to ask yourself, what foods are going to give me natural sources of iron? There are some of them. And then also, you can also supplement if you have to. So it's not a problem that you cannot really fix. You can really solve for it. So it's also, the plant-based diet is also best for people who enjoy fruits and veggies and grains. If you are a person who loves to eat fruit, somebody can eat a couple of fruits in the morning as breakfast and they don't feel hungry. That's good for them until like lunchtime or even dinner. That's good for you. Then that's your choice is right there. Easy. Some people love salads. They can make all kinds of salads from all kinds of sources: kale, lettuce, cabbage. They have all the recipes, and that is for you. Then you don't need to substitute that for anything else. You got to go for that then, because it's overall going to be helpful for you. So that's the kind of people who also would enjoy it the most. So if you're not a meat person or a fat person, then plant-based diet might be the easier one to go to. So they both are good, but it depends on the person. Now, it also depends on your how much you're willing to sacrifice. Because whichever one you choose, you're going to sacrifice something else. And this brings me to the point that why don't we then do the hybrid approach? The hybrid approach is the best of both worlds. In that way, you combine low carb principles with plant-based, nutrient-dense foods, which makes it most sustainable for blood glucose control. So you are doing low carb, but then you combine it with plant-based, nutrient-dense ones. So you control your blood sugar levels better, and you still get the benefit of all those things that we may be missing from the other food if you were just sticking to one. So that's the key. My answer, if you were looking for my answer as to saying which one is the best is to do both combined. But obviously, you can do either one if you don't feel like you're sacrificing anything. I mean, for me, after I've went through this, I feel like I'm more like a pescatarian because I like my salmon. So that's fish. And then everything else I can add plant. I love avocado. I love sweet potatoes. All these are plant-based, right? So if I can throw in fish with it, then I'm a pescatarian. So fish plus plant sources. Or you may be a flexitarian. You say, hey, I am going to be able to do everything plant except on Sundays I'll eat meat. That's a plant-based diet. You are what? A flexitarian, you know? And then you may say that, you know what, I like my eggs and my cheese and my milk, so I'm going to do a vegetarian. I'm going to eat every kind of plant source, and then I'll add my eggs and milk. That's a vegetarian. It's not so hard. We say the name, it's like you are sacrificing so much. You don't sacrifice a lot. As a matter of fact, you are gaining more by those little sacrifices. So if you can do either one, then that's the best for you. But if you can't and you want to combine them, then the hybrid is what we are saying. So you combine both fuels and you get the best too, right? So the hybrid also includes healthy fats and proteins. So your fat sources will be from avocado. You remember we are trying to do both plant and low carb. So yes, since low carb depend on high fat meal, your fat becomes what? From good sources like avocado and olive oil. So it's not the seed oil on the market or the seed oil somewhere, but you are adding the better portion of plant fat to your low carb. What a sweet thing, right? And you're getting the best of both. And you could also do tofu for protein, as well as fatty fish for protein sources, And the other thing is you limit high carb plant foods, which have continuously, especially refined grains, the white flour for bread, for the donuts, the sugary fruits. Some people say, oh, I'm eating fruit, but all the fruits they eat are sugary. They are trying to cheat and saying that I like fruit. Well, what kind of fruit are you? Is it only sweet fruits? Like you're always eating ripe mangoes. You're always eating ripe bananas. Those are too sweet. So avoid those sugary ones or limit them at least, and then do, Granny Smith apple, green apples, some kind of a better tasting, but still plant source. You can still get some sweetness there. Some of the berries may not taste as sweet, but you can feel some tasty, some sour taste. I don't know how to describe it, but those of you who know what I'm talking about, you can put it in the chat. I got you. And those are good for you. And the benefit of combining both leads to a faster results and rapid decrease in your A1C levels or your blood sugar levels, to make it simple. And the other benefit is that it becomes more sustainable. The key is to be able to be sustained. If you start something today and next week you say, I stop, you lost. But the person who starts and continues it over a long period, that's the person that's going to reach and gain all the benefits that we are talking about here. So sustainability, make sure that whatever approach you do is something you can sustain. And you can always make modifications along the way. The person who actually loses is the one that said, I give up. Like we make New Year's resolutions and by the second week we give up. No, this person said, I think I'm not doing so good with my vegan. I'm going to throw in some eggs and some milk. So you become a vegetarian. That's better than to say that to hell with your veggies diet and stuff. I can do it. No, you adjust as you go. But if you do the hybrid, that's actually going to be easier for you. And then you also make sure that you balance your nutrients. Balancing nutrients will also be what you want to do. Hit the thumbs up and the love and the share and the follow button. What we learned today is that there is nothing like the best diet when it comes to plant-based and the low-carb-based diet, especially when it comes to reducing or lowering your blood sugar levels and reducing your risk for heart disease, heart attacks, and all those other cardiovascular issues, stroke, and the rest, right? The best approach is the one that you can keep, that you can sustain. And judging from what we have learned from the couple of videos we have had last week and the week before. Make sure if you didn't see those, you go back and on our channel and check them out and choose which one is going to work out for you. As a matter of fact, if you are watching right now and you are convinced to start on any of these diet approaches, whether you're going to do the hybrid approach or you're going to do just plain plant-based or you're going to do just plain low carb, put it on the comment section. Let's see what you have decided to do. And by the way, if you want more information, the details in the low carb diet, including the examples, we spend a whole time talking about just low carbs and the whole time talking about just plant-based. And let me know your progress. That's the whole thing here. It's not just fun coming to tell you and not knowing what's going on, because God wants you to excel in every area of your life, and especially when it comes to your health. That is why we always conclude on our shows and say that, dear friend, we wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Thanks for watching.